Okay, so this is the last interactive slide that is on this slide deck. And so this now is putting those two processes that we've spent the last week talking about. So we know that photosynthesis and cellular respiration are very closely related. Okay. And so in this diagram, you're picking out, okay, what is the process? What are the organelles, and what is going in, what is going out of these chemical reactions? Okay, so if you take a look at this diagram, and this is very typical of a diagram that you would see on an assessment. All right, so they're showing you that this picture is coming out of a plant cell. And notice that, of course, it's rectangular. Isn't it always shown as a rectangular cell? But know that it's not always rectagonal. And then down here we have an animal cell that is shown as round. Of course it is. But notice that they're not always round either. Okay. And so what would be this organelle that we're pointing to? So what is this thing? So this thing is a chloroplast. Okay. And we know that it's a chloroplast, even if it wasn't in this picture and it wasn't pointing to a cell. We know one, it's green, right? But remember that chloroplasts have these, they look like stacks of coins, right? They're called thylakoids. And that's how you can differentiate a chloroplast from a mitochondria. Mitochondria has this cristae in it, right? And so this guy is actually a mitochondria. Okay. What's going into here? So, and you could start anywhere, right? Wherever it works for you is perfectly fine. Um, oh, sorry, I should have put the chloroplast there because that line is actually pointing to here. So what is going in? What is coming out, right? So let's look at photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is definitely this process. I'm going to slide photosynthesis there, right? And the process, what does it give off? So the arrow is leaving. So what gets sent out? So glucose is being made and water is being released. So those are the byproducts, right? That's what's getting made. Those are the products of that process. And so what's going on here? Well, this is all cellular respiration. Okay. In the mitochondria, what happens in cellular respiration? Glucose and oxygen here are combined. And what do they give off? They give off carbon dioxide in water. Okay. And so those are actually the physical things that are given off. Notice that they're not incorporating energy in there, which is ironic because energy is so important. But energy, remember, isn't a substance. Okay. Energy is not matter. And so in this diagram, they're dealing with just compounds, just molecules. Okay. So I hope this helped. And I hope that this is giving you a sense of the fact that photosynthesis is very closely related to cellular respiration. Without photosynthesis, there would be no glucose. Without photosynthesis, there would be no oxygen, right? And without glucose and oxygen, we'd have no energy. So I really hope that this helped bring those two processes together. And hopefully this wrapped up this whole concept for you. You need to go on to this next slide on the stack. So we started out the week with this man breathing really heavily, right? And we're just going to assume he's an athlete. And so he's breathing really heavily. And why is that? Now you know why. Why when you're exercising or running or doing whatever, why do you start breathing harder? Why do you sweat? Why are these things happening? Think about what's happening in cellular respiration, right? It's not about photosynthesis now because he's not photosynthesizing. But he certainly has used a lot of energy. What are the byproducts? What has to go in? Think about that when you answer that response. So you didn't know this information at the beginning of this. So the response for this prompt should definitely be very much more clear and very much more precise than it started at the beginning of the unit. So good luck, everybody, and see you at the beginning of next week.